we sort of see this as being the centerpiece of a visit to Washington. People bring their kids to Washington to learn about American values and kind of touch the seat of power, and the stories that we have here are really the building blocks of history.
May I point out some of the finer points here? For example, right behind us here, this is the Apple I computer. This was the large model. This was very tough to boot up. You actually needed a boot to boot this thing up.
News is really almost the history of our consciousness. When you think back about the great events of your own life or the great events of time.
It's the story of how the Daily News in New York was covering the planned execution of a woman named Ruth Snyder. She was one of the first women electrocuted.
How did they get that photograph?
Well, how they got that photograph was the Daily News, reporters were allowed to go, but not photographers. The Daily News brought in a person from Chicago named Roy Howard, who was not known to prison officials. Mm-hmm. And he strapped that camera to his ankle. And at the moment of electrocution, he lifted his pants leg and snapped that picture.
Hidden cameras, how disgusting. We would never do that nowadays.
One of the exciting things about the Newseum is that it's different every day. That's what makes it different from most museums, and that's why we needed a new name for it.
A museum dedicated to showing the rock opera Tommy. The Whoseum. The World News Now temperature index is very easy to figure out. You take the temperatures of 10 cities, you multiply by the square root of pi. Now, for example, if it's the winter time, it would be a temperature index of, say, 275. In the summertime, of course, the temperature index goes up to maybe, 600, sometimes as high as 700.
Who got interested in journalism by going through garbage? Gwen Ifill, Bob Woodward, and Pat Oliphant. I think you're right. I don't know how you know that, but I was pretty sure about that one.
Can I get you to stand right there on the X for me, please?
This is the second one. You might have missed.
Okay, well, you're standing in front of a chroma key. This is your reference monitor here. So we're going to do the weather.
Current temperatures around the nation, us 70s in the south with lows in the teens in Chicago and points in the north.
Hey, look, it's Helen Thomas, a real reporter. Nice to meet you, Miss Thomas.
Nice to meet you.
Did they have these kinds of things, trust me, I'm a reporter, water holders, when you started out as a reporter?
Never. And we didn't have to say that.
Because people actually did trust you then.
In those days, they did.
Everything here at the Newseum is a theme, even the men's room, or as I like to call it, the news leak. Look, the place just opened already. There's graffiti on the walls. So, Chip, you'd like to be an anchorman?
Yes, sir. It'd be pretty fun.
A lot of fun, huh? Can you say Bob Dole?
Bob Dole.
Can you say Newt Gingrich?
Newt Gingrich.
Can you say Sweetheart Lone?
Sweetheart Lone.
We'll make sure to send a copy to your husband, okay?
You know, you can get a copy of that.
Oh, yes.
Of course, they charge you for it.
Of course.
So much for a free press.
45 years ago, when I started out as a reporter, we always were the good guys. Everybody liked reporters. And the Hollywood version of the reporter was that as a good person. You even got the girl.
Hey, if this were a slot machine, wouldn't it? Put quarters in. Germany surrenders. Wow.
Very good.
That's a very famous picture. You were born on a famous day. Popular songs in 1945. Don't Fence Me, and you must know that.
Yeah, I do know that.
Give me land, lots of land, da 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 da. Let's hear it. Don't fence me in. We hope this artifact will find a place alongside the Edward R. Murrow microphone and the First Line of Type machine. It is our contribution to the news business. The World News Now mug. It is yours. And it even has some of Asher Blake's lipstick still on it.
Thank you, Barry. That's very kind of you. I'm glad that the Disney company could afford this.
I think they should open up a motel next door called the Newseum. Oh, what about
Great here.
what about the cocktail lounge?
That would help.
Boozeum?
Oh, God, you are funny. Who
and
are you anyway?
I asked myself the same thing.
Stand-up comic for the ABC.
That's right, for ABC. And
Right.
How about a special room for Imelda Marcos? What do you think we would call that?
Shoes me.
The Newseum! This is a professional
At least
reporter.
I got one.